So, hello, my friends. Welcome. It's nice to be with you. I'm going to take a little bit of time first and do something unusual that we don't usually do. And I want to talk a little bit about my personal life a bit. Uh, and in particular, is because about 6 or 7 weeks ago, I started having some unusual kind of pains in my lower abdomen. And uh, yeah, it was pretty bothersome for a while. And so it finally got so bad that I went to see a doctor, and they went and did some imaging and some other kind of things and decided that I've got pancreatic cancer. And the good news is, yeah, we've gone through a number of kind of things. We went down to Charlottesville to the University of Virginia, and they did a biopsy down there and figured out, yeah, it's cancer, but it's not spread anywhere. So that's a good idea. And more than that, I'm very much encouraged by all of the wonderful people around that have risen to be helpful in one way or another. Penny Kelly, in particular, has built me a whole regimen about how to kind of approach this. Two kind of general approaches to this, I'm finding out. I've never really had any major problems in the past. I had an issue couple of years ago with a diabetic shock that was a byproduct of some other kind of things. But otherwise, that's the first time I'd ever been in a hospital. And so I've always kind of listened to and watched and, commiserated with my friends who have had different kind of medical kind of problems. And the conversation, and particularly when you get to a certain age, if you get to like a party or anything like that, or particularly if you go to a reunion for your college class or something like that. I mean, all it is all these old people who are all talking about all their medical problems. I kind of looked at that at arm's length before it, but once you get into the middle of it, it just makes sense to try to learn a little bit about what's going on and try to so that you can engage in this whole process kind of intelligently and ask intelligent questions with the healthcare providers. And so I've been fortunate. I'm learning from a number of experiences that other friends of mine have had, including my brother who died from pancreatic cancer here late last year. And when you listen to and the different kind of processes that they go through and the ins and outs of the medical industry, if you will, what you find out is that what's happening for me is really quite positive, and I'm really quite encouraged by not only the conventional professionals that I'm dealing with, but also in terms of all of the friends, and like I say, like Penny and others who have come forward, including people on my staff that have, made my health one of their principal objectives to what they're working on to try to help me to get through all of this. And so what I'm finding out and doing a little bit of this research is that they're kind of two general approaches to dealing with this. And one is kind of specific and one is general. And the specific ones are the ones you kind of know about in one way or another. Most specifically, uh, surgery, because then, that you focus it right on whatever the thing is that they're trying to deal with. There are some new approaches to this kind of stuff that also does chemotherapy and drops it right down through a big long needle or something like that and puts it right exactly where the problem is. And so, you're finding out all these kind of different people who are doing different kinds of things. And and to some degree, at least, radiation therapy is pretty specific. It burns a hole in you in just a one place. And but then the other approach is a more general one, and the general ones go all the way from chemotherapy, which just kind of poisons your whole body with hopes that it'll get enough of the cancer cells that before it kills you, and which is not very appealing to me at all, and logically and otherwise. And but there are other more general ones, and the basic idea is that if you change the environment, the most fundamental kind of aspects of the environment, you can make it untenable for cancer growth and sustenance. And that can be done in a number of ways, and that's what Penny has helped me with, and that is that she got a whole bunch of things that I'm taking that essentially flood the space with oxygen, and also some other kind of things that are really specific to the the life uh, sustenance of the cancer cells. And so if it's got a lot of oxygen, uh, then they don't live. They don't live well. They don't live. And then you've got the whole business of if you are uh, not acidic, but if you are alkaline, then again, what it does is it changes the whole environment. Then there are things like ivermectin and fenbendazole, which there are lots of extraordinary stories of people in late stage cancers that have been in a matter of months, 2 months, 3 months, essentially, all of it has been eliminated. And so my approach to this is to really kind of change the environment, make it inhospitable to the cancer cells. And it's kind of supported by any of a number of my friends who are energy healers and so on, who are doing regular therapies. One woman back here I see who's marvelous, who I see every month, every week. And the net of all of this is that I have no pain, little kind of achy things, and my energy's coming back, and I'm feeling better, and I think we're going to beat it. I mean, there's all kinds of reasons to believe that you can do that, and what I'm being told by my unconventional sources is that I got a lot of stuff that needs to be done yet before I exit the place, and so this is just one of those situations where you got to sit there and say, what am I supposed to learn from this? How am I supposed to see myself and see the world in a different kind of way that prepares me for what I need to do going downstream? And so I just thought, as a part of this, what this has done is given us the opportunity to essentially redesign the day-to-day operations of the Arlington Institute, with one of the objectives being to get rid of all of the administrative stuff that I otherwise would be doing. And so we've got wonderful people who are taken over in that regard and are given direction to that, and we're got priorities and programs and all kinds of kinds of stuff. So there's really good things that are coming out of this. And so I'm encouraged about it all. It's kind of a little bit of a pain in the rear end to kind of get from here to there, but it's not the first time I've had to deal with things that weren't particularly savory at the time, but we'll make it and it'll be all right. So that's what we're doing. And I just thought I'd let you all know, because, the word gets out and it's all getting around and people are starting to talk about things, and you ought to hear it from me, I guess, rather than somebody else who heard it from somebody else who heard it from somebody else. And so, I'll be here and continuing to contribute to this. It's an interesting kind of situation, though, because what the whole process does, as I suppose with any kind of illness, is it just kind of cuts the top off your head, and you learn it, you lose the ability. You're not really as quick as you used to be, and you don't have quite as much energy as you otherwise did, and so on. And so, you're dealing with that, and I'm doing it. I'm working to make it. It's not a problem. I mean, it's a problem if you spend a lot of time thinking about it, and that it's going to be a problem. Then you're gonna get yourself a problem. I can assure you of that. And so, that's not the approach that I'm taking to all of this. But nevertheless, I mean, so things have slowed down a little bit. We're uh, consolidating and getting better direction and so on. And I'm very, very grateful to the many good people who have all come forward to be helpful here. And so that's my story. And I'm sticking with it, And so the other thing, though, is that we're at this kind of amazing period of time. Obviously, we've talked about that many times before, where big change is coming downstream. And in particular, though, there are many of the usual suspects that we use for sources and that have a reason to have an authoritative position and perspective, who have all said that July here, which is where we're at now, here we're on the 10th of July. July here at the early part of this month is going to, in one way or another, generate a great deal of emotional content that is going to ratchet up to a significantly high level, something like 2 or 3 times the amount of energy that was associated with, say, 9/11, is what Cliff High is talking about, I believe. And that is going to continue at that high level then through the rest of the month or the year. And with some little variations of that level of emotional content going into the end of the year. And it's fascinating to look at what's happening in the world through the lens and through the perspective of that possibility, because what you're starting to see is it seems to me, is an unraveling of the momentum, I guess, or that got started with Trump. In particular, for instance, to just put a point on it, this whole business, now they're saying that there are no lists for Jeffrey Epstein, and they're not going to be making anything positive public. And you just say, wait a second, this is just more of the same kind of trash that that the government does and has been doing before, and these guys have all capitulated. Well, the reason why is because there's a whole lot of very important people on that list, and I got to believe that every one of them is pulling out all their chips with everybody they know that's anywhere close to the White House, saying, don't you dare put that thing out there. It'll kill me. It'll kill my business. It'll kill and I have no doubt about that not only is that happening, but that would happen, because the this whole business is really sick and very pervasive and very broad. The whole business of pedophilia and so on, and it's far more broad, widespread, and deeply entrenched in the leadership of not only our country, but is, Israel and the Great Britain and any number of other kind of places as well. So you got to wonder how in the world that's going to stop or come apart or whatever it is, because it just cannot continue forever. And so it's one of the fissures in the system. And another one is, of course, is that in for a while there was with Doge and with Elon Musk, there was what appeared to be a serious attempt to try to uh, get a handle on the extraordinary kind of costs and financial obligations that the country had accrued, and with the underlying understanding that this was existential for this country. I mean, people didn't talk about it in those terms, but if you read between the lines, you got the sense that certainly guys like Musk felt like, and he was explicit in talking about this, that that the very future, the existence of the United States of America, depended upon being able to decrease this spending because you're going to hit the wall down here. Now, that wall is getting closer and closer, 2027 at the kind of earliest, 2028 maybe at the latest. And in that situation, the whole system collapses and comes down around your ears. And so there was this effort, this kind of encouraging effort by Musk to try to get a hold of that and get rid of a lot of those kinds of problems, or at least slow the whole process down. But then, of course, in a typical kind of Washington and political kind of situation, they come around and they build this big spending bill that's going to add trillions and trillions of dollars to the debt and so on. And all they do is exacerbate the whole situation. And you just say it that I've watched this happen a couple of times in the past, where you get hope. I was really excited about Barack Obama, for instance, when he first got started, and I thought he was really going to do something good. And then after 6 months, you say, God, they got to him again. They got to him like they've gotten to everybody else, and to the extent that they hadn't gotten to him before, they have now. And then they just turn him into the same old thing, doing the same old stuff. And so now you're into the situation where, as Martin Armstrong says, is that this is inevitable, that there's going to be World War III and that the whole thing is going to come down, and that the United States is going to collapse, whether, a combination of either external kind of things with the pressure from the debt crisis, or whether it's from internal kind of issues of the kind that we're starting to see that are starting to stand up. And you're back to business as usual. There was this a momentary pause. There's a flicker of light there for a moment that said, maybe these guys could do something about this, and maybe they really get it, and there's going to be a change. But then it just goes back. Now, that's fascinating to me, because what it says is that the forces that be that are up above and driving all of this thing are still very much alive, and at some level, maybe like not the way they were in the past, because, and some of you will remember, I've had friends who have suggested that the leadership of the archons have effectively capitulated and decided that they'd go somewhere else, and so that there is no leadership in the overall, the other dimensional kind of effort to try to drive this planet in the direction that it's been going for centuries. Um, that may well be. And maybe this is just the residual effects of the lieutenants, if you will, that are the lower level folks who are trying to keep things going. There's always the effect of the very strong motivation of the people who are inside the system to keep it going the way it has been going because of all of the what they've been sucking off and everything that they've been doing. To say nothing about the exposure to all of the crap that they've been doing and what the implications of all of that might be. And if you kind of back away a little bit and think about that, you say that this is setting up for a failure scenario of epic proportions. That you see this from multi dimensions, from multi directions, that they're coming together. They are going to do everything and anything that they can to keep this from turning the corner and going in a new direction. Now, that said, you constantly, at least I do. I get these reports and see these things, and people are saying, have no fear. This is going right. This is going to work out all right. It's going to come apart because it needs to come apart. But the good guys are out there and they're doing their part and they're contributing. And you know, you it may not be as apparent as it is when you look at the negative side of the equation, but there's a real positive side of the equation, and it's going and it's going to work out all right. So there's uh, that forces you into this kind of space of faith and hope and the kind of the presumption that good will prevail in the end here, and particularly for those of us who are at the forefront of trying to shape this emergent new world, and that we just need to keep doing it, and that it will the light will start to come through, and as best I can tell, that that's somewhere before the end of the year, that there are going to be the failure of the old system is going to crack up enough so that these beams of light or this hope or these new ideas will start to provide an alternative. Well, that's of course what we're trying to do here at the Arlington Institute. We're trying to build a vision for a new world so that it offers a beam of light, a hope, light at the end of the tunnel, if you will, that uh, presents a reasonable, kind of exciting, achievable kind of alternative to all of what's going on right now. As I think about all of this thing, I can't think of anything that, certainly in any kind of conventional terms. I mean, if you had ET shows up and, hey, you have some waves of energy out of the center of the galaxy suddenly change everything overnight. Those are all possibilities, but I don't know how to handicap those and how to build scenarios around them. But I do know how to build scenarios around what a model for a new world might look like, and what that might do, and how that might roll and proliferate across the planet into a whole new ideas about how we build a new world and provide people hope about ways to do that. And so we're really right at the crux of this whole kind of amazing kind of transition. And we're here. And we've got something that we got to do, and we've got to stand up and find our friends, find our tribe, find our community, and all of and plug in every way we can to be able to get a critical mass of new ideas about what this new world could be and where it can go. I mean, it's just we're right there, and so we're uh, looking for significant funding here at the Arlington Institute to help make this all go. And we have wonderful people who have shown up to be helpful and be part of the team to do that. And it's moving rather quickly, rather fast, and you can see. I mean, this is doable. This is past the point of just being hand waving and theoretical and some white paper that somebody wrote. No, this is really quite doable. You've got Robert Grant's new the architect, which is an AI that he's going to integrate into his collaboration program called Orion. And that has the potential of revolutionizing the way people, particularly on the leading edge of this movement, can get together and meet each other, collaborate, and so on. At the same time, Mike Adams has just launched his Enoch program, which is an AI, really good AI that's was launched on the 4th of July. And so they're solid, substantive kind of things that are moving in this direction, and that should give us all hope and encouragement. And so we're in there, we're working it, and we're trying to do that. There are a couple of things just that I might mention to you that are happening that you might be interested in. One of them is that there's an upcoming conference called Tesla Tech Conference, which is down in Albuquerque on the 6th through the 10th of August, which is going to feature a lot of very interesting people talking about alternative energy and such. Terrence Howard will be there. You may know his name because he's a very well-known movie star and been very, very successful, but he is also an amazing mind who has come up with a whole new theory of everything that is really quite compelling and very interesting. He'll be down there as well as many of a number of folks. I'll be there, not speaking this time, and some of our staff from the Arlington Institute will be there, and it's always a fun time, and it's fun to meet a lot of uh, like-minded people, make new friends, see old friends, and so I'd encourage you to check that out. Tesla Tech, and it's in Albuquerque. And then we've got a great lineup of different people who are coming to transition talks, and so I hope they'll check that out at transitiontalks.org. But anyway, thanks for being here, and I'll be back next week, and we'll talk a little bit more about some other kinds of things. So be very well. Thanks, and we'll see you again. Take care.